We finally did it. We finally did an eyeshadow guide. Hello there! I would like to dedicate this video to every coworker and every friend of mine who has ever asked me, how do you do your eyeshadow? Because this is how, and I cannot wait to reference this video to literally anyone who's ever gonna ask me again. Okay, so today I sat down for roughly 4.5 hours to film 10 eyeshadow looks for you. So why did I do this? Every time somebody asks me how do I do my eyeshadow, and it doesn't matter if it's like something super colorful or really neutral and simple, they're always like, yes, I don't know how to do eyeshadow, it's so complicated. Yo, it's not complicated at all. And to prove it to you, I put together 5 eyeshadow styles I'm going to show you today in both neutral and colorful version, so you can see how simple it can actually be. And you're going to totally expose me, because now you know that I literally do 5 super simple things over and over and over. That's why I want to do this, because everybody can do their eyeshadow and everybody can have the power to wear something on their eyelids. You don't need a superpower for that. You don't even need that much skill for that. I wanted to do the neutral looks because a lot of people don't feel confident enough in colorful eyeshadow, and you know, they just prefer neutral looks that kind of just flatter their eye shape, or just, you know, they just feel the nicest, the best in some neutral eyeshadow, which is perfectly fine, and I grab neutrals once in a while myself. But in case you wanna be a little bit more, I don't know, out there, more colorful, if you wanna match a prom dress, if you have a cute blazer you wanna, you know, look good in and you want to emphasize that color even more, here are just some fun ideas how to use the same technique to achieve a completely different look. I wanted to focus this video mainly on eyeshadow. I really wanted it to be as simple as possible and as focused on just eyeshadow as possible. I had the exact same base in every single one of these looks. Everything I wore on my face and everything I used to create these looks is going to be linked down in the description box. I also included 10 of some of my favorite eyeshadow palettes that are all quite affordable, so if you need any eyeshadow palette tips, you can literally pick any of these and they're great palettes, I guarantee it. So I didn't wear any lashes in any of those looks. I tried to keep it as simple as possible for the neutral looks. In some of the colorful looks I did a little something sometimes, and of course I'm not a professional, I'm not a makeup artist, I'm just somebody who really enjoys doing this, and I thought this might help some of my friends if they want to do eyeshadow once in a while, because why shouldn't you? Everybody should have fun. So I put together these 5 looks. I think they're pretty simple. Of course, you have to adapt them a little bit to your eye shape. Me personally, I have quite hooded eyes, so I have to pull my eyeshadow a little bit higher up because I want it to be seen when I'm looking straight ahead. I think that's why many people keep referring to the eyeshadow, because they can actually see it. There's that. And also, most of these looks can be done in a rounded form, which is something what I have right now, or they can be winged out. So it really depends just on you, I guess, your mood, your technique, your eye shape. Yeah, so now I'm just going to sit back, relax, and record a voiceover for you. The first look we're going to do is going to be a simple gradient, being lightest at the inner corner and darkest at the outer corner. For this look we are going to need 2 matte shades and 1 shimmer shade. Choose whichever one you want, but I prefer choosing transition shade slightly darker than my skin tone, deeper shade being a couple shades darker than my transition shade, and the shimmer being quite light. We're also going to need 3 brushes for this look. I prefer using a fluffier blending brush for the outer portions of the look, more dense blending brush for the inner portions of the look, and then flat brush for my shimmers. You can also apply your shimmers by a finger. Do it however you want. As always, I'm going to be using an eyeshadow base. So first I'm going to take the transition shade on my fluffy blending brush and I'm going to work it into my crease, into the desired shape. As you can see, the base shade is not very prominent. It is just a couple of shades deeper than my skin tone, so it kind of gives us like a nice transition between the eyeshadows and the actual skin. Then I'm going to take my darker matte shade, which is this deep brown. I'm going to pat it into the outer corner at first, and then I'm going to slowly start working it into the crease with very small circular motions. Every time I feel like there is something not blended correctly, I always reach for the brush with a lighter shade on it, and I kind of go over the deeper brown to mix them in together a little bit better and create a more seamless transition. I'm going to take my shimmer on a brush because it creates a little bit more dispersed shimmery look rather than just one very metallic surface. I'm going to pat it and slightly swipe it onto the lid. And then I'm going to go back to my two previous blending brushes and I'm going to go over the edge in the middle of my lid where I want the shimmer to be a little bit more dispersed and I want more focus on the matte shades. In the colorful version of this look, we are going to do the exact same thing, except this time our transition shade is going to be a light green and our deeper shade is going to be a dark green. You can see that the technique is absolutely the same as it was in the neutral look. One thing I always have to be more careful about with the colorful looks is whether the blend is good or not. On the lid, we are going to put a full-on glitter from the Avani Greg palette, which is basically just a pressed glitter. So if you really want this to last, you would probably put some glitter glue underneath. I didn't do it in this look because I didn't want to complicate it too much. The second look we are going to do is the halo eye look, which is a very classical thing to do. We're going to need 4 shades, one very light transition shade, which should be very close to your skin tone, then transition shade, which can be a little bit more colorful. In this case, we're going to use a rosy shade, then one deeper shade for the inner and outer corner, and then one shimmer shade for the center of the lid. We're going to need 3 blending brushes, one fluffy blending brush to do the outer structure, then small flat brush to structurize the inner and outer portion of the eye, and then a flat brush which is going to apply the shimmer onto the middle of the lid. I'm going to start off with a beige matte shade, which is very close to my skin tone, to kind of start structuring the gradient from the top. You can also do it the other way around and start from the deepest shade and continue up to the lightest shade. Next, I'm using the same fluffy blending brush, applying the rosy matte shade into the crease, slightly below where I applied the previous beige shade. In this look, I want the halo eye to be very round, so I'm making sure I'm doing the windshield swiping motion from left to right with slight circular motions along the way, so I really get that nice blend that I want. Next, I'm going to apply the deep brown with a small flat brush onto the inner and outer corners of my eye. This part is very important and can be a little bit messy, but you want to build up the dark brown enough so it actually shows the structure of the look. Next, I'm going to apply the shimmer shade, which is the darker one in this case, and I'm going to apply it with a brush onto the center of my lid. Because it wasn't showing up quite enough, I decided to reapply it with my finger later on. Because this is quite a dark look, I would definitely recommend going in with a light shimmer onto the inner corners. In the colorful version of this look, we are going to be doing a very typical thing for me that I do all the time in the summer. We're going to start the gradient with the yellow shade on the fluffy blending brush. Then we are going to move slightly below with an orange matte shade. We are going to apply warm brown with a small flat brush onto the inner and outer corners of the eye. With these colorful looks, I like to go back and forth between the brushes and between the shades to really make sure that every single shade is showing up enough. I'm going to go over the edges of the crease again with the orange shade and then again with the yellow shade. The last step is applying my light gold shimmer onto the center of the lid. Then you can go back in with your small flat brush and reapply the dark shade to emphasize the borders of the halo eye even more. The third look I call split light, which is technically like a spotlight, but I like to split it into two shades. So we're going to need two matte shades. It doesn't really matter which shades you pick, and you're going to need a shimmer shade for the center of your lid. For this look, I like to use one fluffy blending brush, one slightly smaller blending brush, and a flat brush to apply my shimmer. Here it doesn't matter if you start from the inner or from the outer corner. I'm going to start in the outer corner with my dark brown, and I'm going to pat it in and then blend it out into the desired shape. Then I'm going to take the lighter shade and apply it to the inner half of my lid. In this part, you can either take a blending brush, or if the eyeshadow is too hard to pack, you can also use a flat brush so the pigment translates a little bit better. Next, I'm going to take my shimmer shade either on my finger or on my brush. Here the brush didn't really work as well, so I decided to use my finger. And I'm going to pat it in the middle between the two shades that I already placed. In the colorful version of this look, I'm going to show you what I like to do the most with this look. I like to take two colors that are very bright and very contrasting, and I like to put some kind of duochromatic shimmer in between them. This look is probably the simplest of them all. I call it mono and liner, and it's exactly what you would think. It's just one shade we're going to apply all over the lid. I would recommend choosing a matte shade, and we're going to need one dark shade that is going to act as our liner. Then you're going to need one fluffy blending brush, a flat brush, and a liner brush. Here I chose this beautiful apricot shade, which I'm going to apply on the lid first with a fluffy brush to blend out my crease into a desired shape. And then I'm going to take a flat brush to emphasize the pigment a little bit more on my lid because it's harder to pack pigment with a blending brush. Next, I'm going to take one of the darker eyeshadows as my liner. You can use any gel or liquid eyeliner for this, it really doesn't matter. I just find it the simplest with eyeshadow. So I'm going to take this deep brown and I'm going to stamp it very closely to my lash line and slightly drag it outwards to create a very small wing. The colorful version of this look is practically the same. I just focused a little bit more on the liner. And the last look is literally called Simple Smoky because that's what it is. It's a very simple smoky eye. We're going to need 3 shades for this. One transition shade, one deeper shade, and one shimmer. And I would recommend the deeper shade really being dark, like a dark brown or almost a black. We're also going to need 3 brushes. I prefer using a smaller blending brush because you have to be very precise. And then I'm going to use a small flat brush and a regular flat brush for some detailing work. So we're going to start off with our darkest shade closest to the lash line, and we're going to start stamping it onto the lid and dragging it downwards and inwards. So we're not trying to spread it, but we're trying to control the spread of the eyeshadow as much as possible. So you can start off at the lid where you want the most intensity, and then you can slowly stamp upwards and more upwards until you get where you want the deepest shade to be. Then we take our blending brush with the same shade and we blend out the edges ever so slightly so we're 100% sure where all the smokiness is coming up to. Then I'm going to take my transition shade, which should be lighter than the deeper shade on the lid, and we're going to blend out the edges of the smoky eye to make it as unmessy as possible. Once we are happy with the structure of the smoky eye, we can take a shimmer on either a finger or a flat brush and we can apply it onto the middle of the lid to give it a little bit more sparkle. You can also use a pencil below the darkest shade to make it even more dark, but I didn't want to make this too complicated. In the colorful version of this look, we're doing pretty much the same thing, except we're working with some beautiful purples. So we're going to again take the darkest shade and make sure that we're not spreading it out too far. We're gonna blend it out with a lighter shade. We have to be careful about the blending because purple is a little bit more difficult to blend into your skin than beige. And then we're just going to tap the purple shimmer over the lid, and we don't have to be as precise with the shimmer in this case. So what I like to do is focus on the middle and go quite far out. So here are all the 10 looks that we created today. Now I'm going to place a picture for you of each of the looks you can screenshot. I'm going to show you there which shades were used where and which brush was also used with them. So it makes it easier for you to work with if you just need some quick guidance. It's going to be quicker to just do a screenshot than to watch this whole hour-long video. So that was it. Those were all 10 eyeshadow looks I had for you. 5 styles, 2 different color schemes, 10 palettes you can choose from if you're looking for a good eyeshadow palette. I had a blast creating all of these looks, even though it was pretty tiring, and I did it all in one session and I'm tired, but it was fun. I hope you liked the looks. You can do anything you want. You can do each one of them with different colors, different textures. You can add liners, you can add lashes. Everybody knows that when you add lash and liners, lashes and liner to a look, it looks 100 times better. Take this information, make it glam. Maybe I encouraged you to wear some eyeshadow, and if I did, I'm very happy I did. And tag me in any looks if you use these techniques, I guess. I would love to see what you created. As I said before, all products are gonna be linked down below. All the palettes. I'm not gonna link the brushes because honestly, I just don't remember. But I might do like a brush guide in the future, maybe. Once I'm less tired, I can decide, but not right now. I hope you're gonna have a good time doing your eyeshadow the next time you do it. So thank you very much for watching. Consider subscribing, and if you want to see more videos of me just doing makeup, check out the playlist. See ya!